Here in the Southern Hemisphere, the air's getting crisper, the leaves are changing colour, and our lungs, well, they need a little extra TLC right about now. Why? Because in traditional Chinese medicine, autumn is lung season, meaning these precious air-breathing, life-giving organs are at their most vulnerable. And if our lungs are not healthy and strong, this is the time that we'll fall prey to those coughs and colds that keep us buried in a mountain of tissues. That's why today on I Love Me, the podcast, we'll be looking at simple ways that we can nourish and support our lungs.
Love, 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 I love me.
Simple, inspiring lessons in self-love. Hi, lung full of love. It's Tamra here. Okay, let's talk about our gorgeous lungs. You may like to imagine them as two soft, spongy balloons sitting snugly either side of our heart, stretching from our collarbones down to our diaphragm. Inside, they're like an upside-down tree, with airways branching out into tiny grape-like clusters called alveoli, about 300 million of them. If you flatten them all out, they'd cover the size of a doubles tennis court. Pretty amazing, right? Every time we breathe in, our diaphragm pulls down, expands our lungs and pulls in oxygen and life force energy, often referred to as qi. When we breathe out, it relaxes, pushing out carbon dioxide and old stagnant qi, clearing out the waste we don't need. All of this happens to keep our blood rich with oxygen, fueling our body and keeping us energized. We can think of our lungs as the ultimate gatekeepers, making sure every cell in our body gets the nourishment it needs to thrive, inflating and deflating all day long without a single complaint, until we forget to take care of them. Then we start to experience symptoms, letting us know we need to offer our lungs some TLC. Let's have a look at what those symptoms might be. We know our lungs are out of balance when we experience dry or cracked skin, because in Chinese medicine, our skin is the tissue related to the lungs. We may have a dry cough, feel tired or fatigued, or have challenges breathing because our lungs are not bringing in enough nutrient-rich oxygen to enliven them. People with weak lungs catch colds and flus more easily and may experience constipation, as the lungs in Chinese medicine are paired with the large intestine. These two organ systems, the lungs and the large intestine, are the yin and yang partners that work together to support us in being well. Now, as I shared in last week's episode, our lungs are where we hold on to sadness and grief. So if we have unresolved emotion, it can cause congestion in the lungs. This is an example of how our emotions impact our physical body and vice versa. So if a person is stuck in deep sadness or depression, if they feel shy, isolated, lonely, or unable to let go, these are all signs that the lungs need a little more love. On the flip side, someone who has a healthy set of lungs is likely to be self-reflective and confident, holding firm boundaries. They'll generally find it easy to let go of the old and embrace the new, which is what our lungs are doing all the time, taking in new oxygen and letting go of the carbon dioxide. Physically, a person with optimal lung health will enjoy easeful breathing, glowing, supple skin. They'll have a lot of energy and a vibrant immune system. Of all the organs in the body, It's believed that the lungs are the most vulnerable to our external environment and pathogens. And this is because we're taking into our body, through the air we breathe, whatever is around us. Given autumn is generally dry, windy, and getting colder, these are the climatic factors we need to protect against. And a very simple way of protecting against the cold and wind is to put on an extra layer of clothing. Yes, dressing for the season is my first tip in looking after your lungs. Depending on where you live, this will vary, but as a general guide, you want to protect your neck, as there are many meridians that run through the neck and can be affected if they're open to the elements. Meridians are like energy pathways that deliver chi or energy to the different organs in the body to support them in staying well. So in autumn, we want to wear a scarf, put on a jacket. We want to create a windbreaker so our body is not as exposed to the elements. Maybe wear a hoodie or a beanie. When you go outside, give your body an extra layer of protection against the harsh conditions so your body doesn't have to work so hard in maintaining health. Next, support your body through the food you eat. We've all heard of the idea of eating seasonally. Well, like I share in episode 37, food is medicine. And we can choose foods that support particular organs at certain times of year so they're less susceptible to wear and tear. What are the foods we want to be eating more of in autumn? The top 3 are ginger, garlic, and onions. These foods are so good at boosting lung health, and all you need to do is add them to your existing meals for a little extra flavour, to a stir fry perhaps. If you do fall sick, then have ginger, garlic, and onions in bigger quantities. I experienced really, really bad bronchitis a few years back, and that really took its toll on my lungs and taught me a few lessons about looking after my lungs in autumn. Hence why I created this episode for you. Now, as soon as I feel a little something trying to invade my lungs, I grate up some fresh ginger into a cup of boiling water and drink my strong ginger drink a couple of times a day, and it moves that pathogen right on out of my system. And that's because these pungent foods are super powerful in their ability to shift and move pathogens and phlegm right on out of our body. Other foods that help protect and nourish the lungs are often white in colour, as the colour white is associated with the lungs in Chinese medicine. And those foods are white nectarines, white peaches, cauliflower, leeks, parsnips, turnips, daikon radish, kohlrabi, mushrooms, white potatoes, Jerusalem artichokes, and white beans. Eating soups and warm, nourishing foods, your lungs will love that, as these kinds of meals are easy to digest, supporting our spleen health, which in turn supports our lung health. So start to introduce some of those medicinal foods into your meals as you enter into autumn. In Chinese medicine, we gather our energy or our qi via 2 means: what we eat and the air we breathe. So let's talk about the breath. Our lungs are what draw in fresh oxygen or qi to support our body in a myriad of ways. So it makes sense that the quality of the air we breathe and the way we breathe play a huge role in lung health. If we have restriction in our lungs, if we have unhealthy breathing or postural patterns, then this will not only impact our lung health, but all of the organs in the body, because they need fresh oxygen to function optimally. The simple truth is we cannot survive without air. The breath is what sustains us and allows us to stay alive. Therefore, our lung health is key to not only our survival, but our quality of life. For the better we breathe and the more healthy the air that we breathe, the more energized and alive we feel. Our whole body relies on quality breath so it can function as it was designed. A simple way of moving our attention to our lungs is to drop our awareness onto our breath. At random times throughout your day, take a few minutes to notice and feel your breath. Wonder about all the ways that the breath is supporting you, and how if you sit up tall or change position, how that affects your breathing. That simple act of being present with your breath is such a powerful way of instigating healing in the body. And if you'd like a dedicated breathing practice, one that allows you to change your emotional state and physiology, I'll share the balancing breath practice with you in next week's episode. Because developing a breath practice is one of the easiest, most profound ways of supporting our physical and mental health. If you pay attention to the air in autumn, you'll notice it feels dry. When it gets really dry, the ground cracks, and the same can happen to our skin, which, like I said, is the tissue associated with the lungs. When we inhale, the air first goes in through the nose, where our nose hairs act as a filter, then into the sinuses. It's in the sinuses that the air is warmed and humidified before it reaches the lungs. This is why breathing in through your nose, especially when out in the cold, dry wind, helps support the lungs. If the air is too dry, too damp, too cold, or too hot, the lungs can be injured. Now, because it's dry in autumn, we want to stay well hydrated. It can be easy to stop drinking as much water when the weather starts to cool off, but our body needs that hydration to stay moist and supple. Hydration also helps us poo more easily. Like the earth cracks when it's starved of rainfall, so too does this happen inside our body. An obvious sign of internal dryness is constipation, while an external example of dryness in the body is dry skin. Cracked skin on our feet, that's a super common sign that the lungs need more love. Which leads me on to the healing effects of self-massage. While the only real way to massage our lungs is through the breath, we can use our hands to massage all over our body with natural oils that will help add moisture back into the skin. In episode 45, we go into depth on how to practice self-massage, so if you'd like some extra tips on that, have a listen to that episode. Our lungs and large intestine meridians run through the arms, so offering them some loving touch can be super beneficial. Another area we can massage to really support the lungs is the large intestine. Like I mentioned, the lungs and large intestine work together as yin and yang partners to support our overall health. To massage the large intestine, we simply massage our abdomen in a clockwise direction, up the right side, across under the ribcage, down the left side, and across the top of the pubic bone. So we're following the direction of the large intestine, helping it clear out waste from the body, which is such a great exercise to do if you get constipated. I do, however, recommend doing this abdominal massage with deep presence. If you do, you'll start to notice emotional content coming up. Stuck or suppressed emotions, which can often be to do with grief, loss, letting go, or boundaries, as these emotions are all related to the energy of our lungs. If you missed last week's episode, I went into depth on how grief and sadness get stored in the lungs, weakening them physically. And it's in that episode that I offer insights and tools for clearing out those stuck emotions. Because as we give voice to the deeply held emotions in the body, this frees up the large intestines, which in turn support the lungs in staying nourished and supported. If we're holding on to sadness or grief, then autumn is a beautiful time to work through those emotions so they don't injure the lungs and make you more prone to picking up an unwanted virus. Next, reduce stress. Every organ in the body can benefit from us reducing stress. But in terms of lung health, when we are stressed, our body is more tense. When we hold tension, this limits the movement of our diaphragm, which means we cannot take in as much oxygen as we truly need. If you're anxious, there will be a tendency to hold the breath, again limiting supply. I have a really great podcast episode called Get Rid of Anxiety in 2 minutes flat. It's number 31 if you want some guidance on how to work with anxiety. But whatever you do, take stock of how you live life and see where you can make changes and simplify so your body can enjoy a more relaxed state. For when the body is in a state of relaxation, it's free to do all of its natural healing work. One way to reduce stress is moving your body. Exercise increases blood circulation to the abdomen, and getting up a sweat makes your sweat glands work, which helps clear the skin and expel toxins. Not to mention all the endorphins you get from a really good physical workout. Another way to reduce stress is to meditate. The lungs are a yin organ, and with all yin organs, they like time for quiet, calm introspection. As we move into autumn, we see the leaves falling from the trees, letting go, creating space for the new. This is what we want to do on a psychological level, because the lungs are all about letting go. So we want to create space in our life to explore what no longer serves us and take steps to release those things. It's about getting down to the essence of life, going inward, like sap retreating into the roots of plants as we head into winter. In this way, developing a meditation practice can be such a soothing relief to the lungs. If you want to start a meditation practice to support you in this process of letting go, check out episode 41 where I teach you how to meditate. Even if you don't think you have time, this episode will show you a simple way to invite in a mini meditation practice. Another way of going inside and processing is through journaling. If you want some guidance on how to journal, have a listen to episode 20 where I share how journaling really can be powerful therapy. In autumn, we want to spend time, maybe with a pen and paper, writing down all the things we're ready to let go of. This can be physical possessions, ideas, beliefs, relationships, and ways of being and interacting with the world. Just as the trees must let go of their leaves, we too need to let go of what we accumulate, both physically and emotionally. And this notion of letting go brings us back to the large intestine, which is involved in the process of digestion and elimination. If you get constipated, this is a sure sign that you're holding on to things emotionally that need to be let go of. For the body mirrors our mental state. As we clear out our mental clutter, so too is our body free to clear out our physical waste matter. So there you have it. A bunch of easy ways to support your lung health in autumn. To recap, you want to put on a protective layer of clothing when you head outside, eat foods that nourish the lungs, breathe well or develop a breath practice, stay well hydrated, use massage to add moisture back into the skin or do the abdominal massage I mentioned. Move your body in a way that feels good for you and gets up a sweat. And focus on reducing stress. Maybe that's through meditation or journaling, or simply taking time to sit with yourself. Just as the leaves on the trees change colour and eventually drop in autumn, our lungs also go through a seasonal shift, making them extra sensitive during this time of year. That's why keeping them strong, nourished, and happy is key. Because let's be honest, no one enjoys sniffling their way through autumn. What I will say is that prevention is always easier than healing an illness once it's already manifested in the body. So looking after ourselves, having that awareness of what our body needs as it moves through each season is what will support you in staying well. And if you do get sick, it'll help you recover quicker. When we're willing to look to the seasons and allow the seasonal changes to guide us on how to care for our bodies, we come into greater health and harmony. That's why in future episodes, I'll share more about how to travel more vibrantly through the seasons of winter, spring, summer, and the Chinese medicine season of late summer. Until then, have a beautiful week. If you're loving what I'm sharing, please do share it with your friends or give it a little rating. I would so appreciate that. If you're after more in-depth teachings on how to offer yourself the love and kindness you so very much deserve, take a peek at my online school, gettingnaked.com.au, where I teach people how to strip off the layers of conditioning so they can live well. And if you do enroll in any of the programs there, know that a percentage of profits go to planting trees, so together we can re-robe Mother Earth.